Good Monday evening, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Today's live stream, we're going to be going over the tornado outbreak that is possible to unfold on Tuesday, April 4th, 2023, across the Midwest and the Mid-South. Yet again, we're setting up the stage for what looks to be another active day as we go into Tuesday. So do be sure, if you are here, press that like button down below. It's the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Twitter at hweather420 so you stay ahead of all of the updates out there. And we'll be getting right into it here this evening. So looking at this, the Storm Prediction Center has two areas we're watching for significant severe weather as we go into our Tuesday tomorrow. The first area up here in the red, this is for portions of eastern Iowa, west central portions of Illinois, including northwest Illinois, and extreme northeastern Missouri. This does include some of the cities of Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, that's right along I-80 there in eastern Iowa, Dubuque, getting into western Illinois now, so we're talking about Freeport, down into Mount Carroll, we're talking about Galesburg, even down into the Macomb area in western Illinois as we head through your Tuesday. And then far northeastern Missouri, again, just communities across portions of the Kirksville area, just north and east of Kirksville there, into extreme northeastern Missouri, so like the Memphis area and towards the Canton area. So we'll continue to watch that. All the way farther south into the Mid-South, we have another moderate risk. This is a level 4 or 5. This is for southern Missouri, western and northwestern Arkansas, and extreme southeastern portions of Oklahoma. We're watching you guys down here toward the Springfield area. We're watching down here toward the Fayetteville, Fort Smith area, Rogers down here, and then getting down just west of Little Rock with that moderate risk. But make no mistake about it, we still have a large enhanced risk of the orange shaded color here across the Midwest. I'll kind of zoom it out a little bit for you guys. I know it's a large risk, so I got to be careful how much I zoom out. But yeah, look at this. We have a massive risk for severe weather all across the United States here, even in the orange. So Madison, Wisconsin, the Janesville, Monroe area in Wisconsin, all the way south, just north and east of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And this gets into the western suburbs of Chicago. So we're talking about Aurora, Naperville, the Elgin area, Rockford, Illinois, Peoria yet again, St. Louis down here. We're talking about the Cape Girardeau region into Missouri, Little Rock yet again, down toward the Jonesboro area there, and even again, north and east of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and towards Texarkana. We're definitely in that thread, and even as far south as the Shreveport area there in Tyler, Texas, we even have a lower chance for severe weather on our Tuesday. So a massive risk yet again. And it looks like we're setting the stage for possibly several more tornadoes setting up, especially in these orange and red shaded colors. But even outside there, if you're in the green or the yellow, like Chicago, Indianapolis, the Kalamazoo area up here into Michigan, Green Bay, Toledo perhaps, getting down in toward the Memphis area, Greenville, Mississippi, again, the Shreveport area, getting in towards Monroe, Louisiana, Tyler, Texas, and the College Station area, perhaps, we definitely still could be seeing a lower end threat for severe weather as we go into our Tuesday. So breaking down the threats and what they mean as we head through the day, and then we'll kind of go over the setup for severe weather, because there's a lot of dynamics and failure modes of why we could see severe weather and why we may not see severe weather tomorrow. So let's first go over the dynamic or the hazards here for tomorrow. Let's go over the tornado threat, because this is going to be a big issue through tomorrow. And you see these red hatched marks. These are this is a 15% hatched risk for some significant tornadoes. We're talking about EF2 or greater in intensity. This lays out here across portions in that moderate risk of eastern Iowa, western and northwestern Illinois here, including the Davenport Quad Cities, Waterloo, Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Iowa, all the way down toward the Burlington, Muscatine, the Keokuk region, the Galesburg area, getting down into Macomb. That's in portions of Illinois there. That's the significant area we're watching for very big tornadoes, possibly powerful tornadoes in this area as we head through the day tomorrow. And again, the Storm Prediction Center will be updating this overnight, so we'll continue to watch and wait and see what happens there. But we're seeing another area farther south, so from St. Louis down here towards Springfield, Missouri, the Jefferson City area, Getting farther toward the south, toward Little Rock, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, even as far south as the Tyler, Texas area, we are watching out for the threat of more significant long track tornadoes and powerful tornadoes down here as well, with that 10% to even 15% in the yellow and red hatched marks down here in these areas. That is what we're seeing. So again, this is the area down in the mid-south from St. Louis all the way to the southwest toward Tyler, Texas. We are watching for more powerful tornadoes potentially as we get through that time frame. So definitely a very worrisome setup here as we go into tomorrow, because we've already seen several big events. If you guys remember this past Friday, we saw a lot of tornadoes in like the Little Rock area. We even saw a tornado here with one fatality up there into Belvidere, Illinois. And we even saw a couple of tornadoes in eastern Iowa. One was rated an EF4. So we actually had a higher end tornado. I think that was rated an EF4, 170 mile per hour winds with that one, with 600 yards wide. So that was definitely a worrisome tornado that did cross into portions of eastern Iowa as we moved back toward that Friday event. But yeah, this is a similar setup. So we kind of can take the analog from Friday, right? And we could say, well, hey, this is looking like a similar setup. We definitely have to be locked in, all eyes to the sky on this one, because not only in just these hatched areas, but you see the dark green and the darker brown areas, even outside of that, here into central Iowa toward the Des Moines area, Tulsa, getting down into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, Shreveport, Memphis, all the way up toward Indianapolis, Chicago, Madison, Milwaukee, all you guys, Aurora, Naperville, Champaign, Urbana, the Bloomington Normal area, St. Louis, all you guys are in that tornado risk nonetheless, whether it's a lower end chance of tornadoes or a more significant chance for tornadoes. You still have a chance for tornadoes going into Tuesday. So that is going to be a big risk across these areas. So let's go now into the hail risk, because this is going to be another big deal, especially right on that dry line back to the west here. What's going to happen is we're going to have a cold front overtake the dry line out to the west. So the dry line is going to set up something like this here back to the west. In these areas, we're going to have very, very dry dew points back in portions of the Great Plains. If you guys know, we actually have a significant drought still ongoing across portions of Nebraska, Kansas, western portions of Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, and even farther west into parts of Colorado, New Mexico. And what this is going to do is send what we call an EML, or an elevated mix layer or capping inversion, farther east. And this is going to set up the pretty significant threat for hail, because the capping inversion, once it breaks, all that energy gets thrown up in the atmosphere, and you could get some real big hailstones with this setup going into our Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. We're talking about hailstones in the area here of Iowa, Missouri, western Illinois, eastern Kansas, northwest Arkansas, eastern portions of Oklahoma, far northeast Texas. Some of these hailstones could be up to tennis ball, even baseball size cannot be ruled out going into our Tuesday. And even outside of that, again, up toward Green Bay, Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago, all you guys over here, Indianapolis, Kalamazoo, Michigan, you guys have a threat of at least quarter size hail as we go through that Tuesday time frame. So that is something to watch. And then finally, the wind risk is there, but it's not as significant as yesterday, at least at the moment. I do think there's a possibility this could be a hatched 30% risk, at least up in this area here. So that will be something to watch. The area I just circled, that could be a hatched area for wind going forward, potentially, with more updates overnight from the Storm Prediction Center. That is something to watch. And but farther south, we still could be seeing some significant wind down in this area here across portions of the mid-south toward Little Rock as well. So there is a large 30% risk of at least up to 70 mile per hour wind gusts with this going into tomorrow, and just a larger risk in general. Even if you're in the yellow, brown areas here, you still could be seeing some widespread damaging winds. And these are going to be multiple waves of severe weather as well. And we're going to be going over this in just a couple of minutes, guys. So thank you for joining again. Tornado Outbreak coverage here. We're going to keep you covered. We'll be answering your questions throughout the live stream here. I'll open it up for questions rather soon, so stick with me. I know you guys have a lot to say, a lot of comments, questions, concerns. Stay on here, and we'll be getting to that rather soon. But I wanted to switch you guys over here Just real quick, this is the College DuPage weather models, and this is a good site to use for when you're looking at the long range weather pattern and stuff like that. Looking at the European forecast model, this is going into tonight, and you see this big trough out here toward the west. You can see the big dip in the jet stream. Well, that's all pushing east. You see all the energy as we go into Tuesday morning. This is Tuesday morning, and now you start to see the mid-level jet. Now this is the 500 millibar layer rounding the base of this trough. We have a very nice long wave trough out here. And what does a long wave trough mean? Well, a long wave trough, as you see here, and I'll zoom it out just a little bit more across the North America view. You can see here up in the Pacific Northwest, the other side of that trough doesn't get over in towards the upper Great Lakes. So it's a long wave trough because it's long toward the top here. So that's why they call it a long wave trough. But it's definitely a very big trough, a very significant one that digs all the way south here toward the desert Southwest on Tuesday. And then the strongest winds will be rounding the base of the trough, and the right exit region of the mid-level jet will actually be right over the western Great Lakes into the Missouri Valley and the Mid-South on Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. So that means that any storms that can fire in this environment will be taking, again, appreciable care of that mid-level jet. I mean, there is going to be a lot of wind energy again with this trough. There is going to be a lot of low-level wind shear as well. We'll go over to the low-level winds here real quick for you guys. This is the 700 millibar layer, and this is our low-level wind shear. Anywhere you see in the yellows and oranges here, that is some significant wind shear across portions of the Midwest, getting into the Mid-South, and even in some extent the southern plains. And this is going to contribute to the tornado environment. Tornado genesis does not happen without stronger low-level shear. So we'll continue to watch that, and as we go through tomorrow, and you notice that that low-level jet really cranks up going in towards the overnight hours into Wednesday morning. So again, as that cold front overtakes the dry line from the west, that is going to be able to take advantage of this very strong low-level jet here and create a squall line that pushes from west to east through the Midwest, through the Missouri Valley and portions of the Arklatex, and then eventually across the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and the Great Lakes going through the morning and afternoon on Wednesday. So that's kind of the setup we're looking for with the wind shear. Now let's kind of zoom into one particular location I'm very concerned about up here. This is the Midwest. Again, we're going to go over what we see with the warm front here, so because this is very important. So this is going in towards Tuesday morning, and you see this is about 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, 12Z here on the 4th of April. The warm front is sitting somewhere across central Illinois into northern Missouri, so from the Kansas City area up here toward Peoria, and then just north of Indianapolis. You see south of the front, those warmer colors, that represents temperatures in the 50s and 60s. And to the north of the front, we have those cooler lake winds coming in out of the east off of Lake Michigan, and we're seeing cooler, drizzly kind of conditions, cloudy skies, some fog, definitely possible with some upper 30s to mid 40s up here across southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, and parts of northwestern Indiana as well. And this is an interesting thing to look at because how far north does the warm front get? This is a really important question. It's $1 million question that we have to ask ourselves by Tuesday afternoon. How far north does the warm front get? Does it get to southern Wisconsin? Does it just get hung up near the Highway 20 corridor up near Rockford, Illinois? Or does it stay south toward the I-88 corridor down toward the Sauk Valley here and toward Dixon and the Aurora Naperville area? So that is very interesting to look at with the synoptic setup going in toward tomorrow. So we fast forward this here to the afternoon. This is about early afternoon, 1 o'clock or so, Central Time, and you see south of the boundary, winds are going to be screaming out of the south. We have we have a very strong low-level mass response with a lot of strong winds just beyond that warm front. So temperatures in the St. Louis area down here in the red will be in the low 80s. Much of the state of Missouri, you'll be 81, 82 degrees going through that time frame. And that's something to watch out for. And again, switching over to the HRRR model, and we'll go to the 18Z run here, and you can see much of the same can be said, and actually a little bit stronger with the magnitude of warming here. 86 degrees there up toward the Kirksville, Missouri area. This is anomalously warm for this time of year, and this is concerning here. And then that has the warm front lifting farther north and kind of setting up shop between Highway 20 and about I-80 there in northern Illinois and the Iowa region. And now that is the area we're going to have to watch for some supercell initiation and some storms to kind of get surface rooted right on this the warm front there. And those could be the storms that could take advantage of that warm front with the change in wind direction with height right along that boundary here, especially this time of year. We could be seeing some strong, violent, long track tornadoes here. Some very large hail is a given as well. We'll show you the Cape values here in just a minute. And also some, of course, some heavy rain, frequent cloud ground lightning here. You know, you get that with the strong storms, and also the damaging winds. We could have some microburst type setups up here as well. Definitely a possibility going through Tuesday afternoon. Then it looks like that warm front starts to lift farther north. You see how it warms up even overnight, guys. We're still in the 60s and 70s in that warm sector, all the way up into the Madison area, Milwaukee, Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, the Dubuque area up here. We're still in the low to mid 60s, even some 70s deeper into that warm sector across southern and central Illinois, southeast Iowa, Missouri, into portions of Indiana there, especially southern Indiana. So you definitely have that rich warm sector. But then we go over the dew point temperatures as well. So this is very interesting. So going back to Tuesday morning, this is about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning here. Again, north of the boundary, we don't have a lot of moisture initially, but south of there, look at all the flood of moisture with those dew points here into the 60s in these purple shaded colors. That will advect northward through the day. And yes, right along that warm front is looking extremely concerning. We could have low 70 dew points, guys, across eastern Iowa into northern Illinois here, and this would be almost a record for dew points this early in the season to be in the low 70s up in this area. If you guys remember back to the Fairdale, Illinois, April 9th, 2015 tornado event, that was an EF4 tornado that moved through Fairdale, and that was riding right along a warm front. And it's kind of a similar setup here to that Fairdale event to what we actually have going on tomorrow. So that is interesting to note. And actually, the dew points in this event, forecasted by the HRRR model on this event is actually higher than the Fairdale event. I know the Fairdale event, we had mid 60 dew points. This is forecasting upper 60s to low 70s. So that in itself should raise a little bit of an alarm in your head to say, hey, now this event is going to potentially be high impact. So we'll continue to watch that as well with the dew points. But now we got to look at the CAPE, or convective available potential energy, with this, because this has a bearing on how much energy or thunderstorm fuel there is in the environment here. So looking first at what we call CAPE, again, convective available potential energy, and you see the brighter the colors, the higher the CAPE is, and the higher the CAPE values, the stronger the storms can get, the taller they can get here. And also the more intense hazards that could come with them as well, because you put more energy in the atmosphere. That's like adding fuel to a fire. You add fuel to the fire grows bigger and it grows stronger. So that's the same thing with this setup for tomorrow with thunderstorms. Okay, so going through the morning, again, you have these green shaded colors. That's 2,500 joules per kilogram instability. That is strong CAPE. That's already strong CAPE through the midday hours. And you see these yellows starting to show up across northeast Missouri and west central Illinois, down toward Macomb, Galesburg, getting toward the Kirksville, Missouri area. We're already up to 3,200 joules per kilogram. That's strong CAPE values already by midday. And look how that advects northward. We see a little stripe of some red here. That's 4,300 joules per kilogram. And I don't know if you guys know, but that is an extreme amount of instability in the environment. And this is a very concerning setup right along the warm front in itself. So we turn over to what we call the supercell composite. And you see this takes a composite of the wind shear, the instability, and everything combined, the thermodynamics, the kinematics with this setup. and it shows where supercell thunderstorms are most likely. And the highest values, the brightest colors here, are across eastern Iowa and northern portions of Illinois. We have the chart going up to 35 here, if you can see it on the bottom of your screen. And we already have that. We have 39 showing up here in the eastern portions of Iowa, even 40s. So that is off the charts with the supercell composite values through tomorrow. And then we have to look at the SIG-TOR values, or the significant tornado parameter. Again, the same thing. It takes into account an algorithm of the wind shear, the moisture, the instability, and puts it into what we call a SIG-TOR value, or a significant tornado parameter. And you see, as that warm front lifts to the north, that is going to have those values really maxing out up here toward that warm front, somewhere between Highway 20 and I-80 here into Illinois and portions of the I-80 corridor in Iowa. And the same could be said over into northwest Indiana as well. That's toward the peak daytime heating. We have, again, this goes up to 10s. We have 6s over here into the Sauk Valley. Eastern portions of Iowa, we're off the charts to up to 14 on the scale for the significant tornado parameter. So that is very impressive, to say the very least. And that actually continues all night long. And you see those significant tornado parameters, especially down in the lower Missouri Valley, off the charts even overnight. So overnight tornadoes could be a very big concern. So this is why I'm so concerned with this event versus Friday. What's different is that this is going to be a much longer duration severe weather setup than we saw Friday. The storms raced across the Midwest on Friday, and they were done with 1 or 2 rounds. This is coming in waves, and we're going to show you that right now and show you when you could expect the storm. So let's go down here to the simulated reflectivity. Now, again, don't take this and etch it in stone or anything like that, because this could change, and this will change going through the day tomorrow. But I just wanted to show you what the radar could look like here. And the 0Z run is not in yet. I'm waiting on the new 0Z run of the HRRR. But looking back, again, we're going to use the HRRR's 18Z run for now, because the 0Z is not in yet. But looking here, you can see we got some showers and storms elevated north of the warm front as we head through this evening. That will continue. These are probably not going to be severe. These are just going to be producing some heavy downpours, some cloud-to-ground lightning, and maybe some pea-sized hail going through the evening here. Again, elevated north of that warm front, getting through the overnight hours across north central Illinois and southern Wisconsin here. That continues. Again, we have a feed of moisture up across this region. And again, these will be elevated thunderstorms. So we're not, concerned about any damaging winds or tornadoes, because these storms are not surface rooted going in toward the morning on Tuesday. But again, heavy rainfall, cloud to ground lightning, and some small hail definitely possible with some of the strongest storms as they push through. Now, something we have to watch going into Tuesday morning here, and something that has popped up with at least the last few scans of the HRRR model that I am noting here, is that there are storms trying to pop up here in the morning. Now, I will note that there is what we call a cap on the atmosphere that will be in play tomorrow. And I go back here to the surface base cape here, and also the SIN values, which is a capping inversion on the atmosphere. And you see where these lines, you can't really see the colors here of the convective available potential energy, and you see kind of these lines overshooting it here. That means that it's not conducive to any thunderstorms that can develop and until the late afternoon. You see how you start to see the colors start to show up, and you don't see those lines over anymore where you can't see the colors, where it's all muddled. That means that the HRRR model, at least the 18Z run, has the cap breaking, at least in some shape or fashion or form. So we'll continue to watch and see what the later runs tonight do show. But definitely something to be concerned about, especially when we have 4,300 joules per kilogram CAPE. And again, if you guys remember, I'm just thinking of a couple events off the top of my head, higher end severe weather events that had CAPE values this high. The Fairdale tornado event, I don't even think was this high with the CAPE event. I'll have to go look back. But even the derecho in Iowa was actually 4,000 joules per kilogram. So this just shows how much energy. Now, we're not expecting a derecho or anything like that. that, but it just shows you how much energy is in the environment. So these storms could really explode, especially with a capping inversion possibly breaking through the day tomorrow. That is definitely a possibility. And you see these values start to kind of go away. You start to see the colors go away. The cap does start to strengthen again early Tuesday evening until that cold front comes in. Again, like I mentioned, that cold front will overtake the dry line across the plains in the Midwest here and sweep eastward, and that will kind of erode that cap with the very strong pressure falls on the backside of that cold front. So that will be something to watch. Now, going back to the simulated reflectivity, again, storms overnight, that's not that big of a deal. We already mentioned that. Through tomorrow morning. Right now, the HRRR has a midday round of storms. Now, these could be strong to severe, okay? These could be producing some quarter, $half size hail, some damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and possibly a spin-up tornado. I'm not too terribly concerned about this first round because it's coming through midday, but there could definitely be some significant severe weather here. We could be, again, 60-mile-an-hour winds, some quarter to $half size hail, and a spin-up tornado. Still have to be concerned about it. But the most concerning event would be after this, late afternoon here. You see how you have a break in the atmosphere and maybe some sunshine poking out. And this is kind of the setup you don't want to see. And I'm going to go over to the average cloud. I am so concerned about this. You see all the cloud cover here where the white is showing up on the map here. That's where we see the extensive cloud cover. But if we kind of back off to the southwest in the initiation zone, as we have a subtle shortwave moving in across portions of Missouri Valley and the Missouri River area, that's going to be advecting north and eastward. And you see some cloud breaks in here where it goes from white to black. The black areas is where sunshine is shining. And that is concerning going through the early and mid-afternoon hours ahead of another round. And I go back to the simulated reflectivity, and boom, we got some supercell thunderstorms exploding across northeast Missouri, western Illinois, and southeastern Iowa, just south of the Quad Cities region in Iowa. And then these will push to the north and east. And these, again, will initially be producing some very large, if not giant, hailstones. We're talking hail that could be up to 3 inches in diameter, folks. That's up to baseball size. That is possible, guys, as we go into tomorrow with the energy I'm looking at here. And we have the potential for up to 70-mile-per-hour winds within maybe a couple microbursts or downbursts that could happen. Definitely a possibility. The atmosphere is primed for some microburst type of action tomorrow across southeast Iowa, northeast Missouri, into west central Illinois initially, and then these will kind of cluster up into like a multi-cluster of supercells with strong, violent, and long track tornadoes as these mature and move over that moderate and enhanced risk area here, especially in the moderate risk, level 4 or 5. Across eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois, and portions there of western Illinois, they will take full advantage of those CAPE values and potentially have a very high-end and high-impact severe weather event on Tuesday afternoon, okay? And those will push into southern Wisconsin. But as they move northward, these are right-moving supercells. And what I mean by that is they're going to be moving northeast over the warm front. So that means that these supercells will eventually become elevated and be more large hail producers, because if you're south of the warm front, you're going to have all that rich moisture. And once you run out of that, these storms move up and over the warm front and kind of move over it into the more, quote unquote, stable environment, then they will become more elevated because they can't be surface rooted with dew points less than 60 degrees generally. So that is something to watch out for. As we go in towards southern Wisconsin and toward the Milwaukee area, Racine, Madison, could have some big hailers there tomorrow evening. Maybe some back building we'll have to watch near that warm front then again into northern Illinois on Tuesday evening. These very well could be still producing tornadoes around the Rockford area, Freeport, Dubuque, getting as far south as the Sauk Valley region, Sterling Rock Falls toward the Dixon area, getting over toward Rochelle, down I-39, DeKalb, Sycamore. Those are the areas we'll have to watch out for through tomorrow evening. And then we'll have another break. Again, we'll have to watch some elevated hailers up here into Wisconsin. We got more storms to the south we'll talk about in a moment here, similar setup. And then here comes the cold front. We got a squall line moving through. Now, the HRRR model doesn't have it developing farther north. I think that's possible due to, in fact, that all these supercells in northern Illinois, according to this model at 18Z, has the atmosphere being just squelched of a lot of the energy. So it has a lot more of these dynamics farther south, because you notice how earlier on you see these supercells moving across northern Illinois. That's going to squelch out a lot of the energy. So we have almost untapped air down here. We have more time to destabilize across central and southern Illinois toward the St. Louis area. So we'll have that squall line move more so into those areas through the Wednesday morning time frame. So very well, damaging winds, damaging hail, and also some spin-up tornadoes will be possible well after dark and even after midnight. So all night long, you need to watch the weather. If you're in this area, definitely have to do so as we go through that time frame, because this is a very interesting setup. This is not like Friday where we're going to be seeing some tornadoes for a couple hours and then we're done. This is going to be an overnight threat and several hours long through that time frame. So very concerning to say the very least, but we will be tracking it here for you guys to keep you ahead of all the storms. You guys can be sure that I will be here as well to cover this evening with you guys and any questions. So now with the northern extent of the storms, we'll go down to the south here in just a moment. We're going to break it up into two sections here in the live stream. So anybody here have any questions? If you live in Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, southern Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, do you guys have any questions for me regarding the threat for severe weather on Tuesday tomorrow? Put it down in the live stream chat. I will try to get to as many questions as possible and break down your question as much as I can here. Yes, Hammer. Yes, absolutely. Rockford, Illinois could be rough. And again, there is a capping inversion, and the $1,000,000 question is, does the capping inversion erode? Now, I'm going to show you two different models here, and there's two different opinions of what could happen tomorrow. This is the HRRR model. Again, usually does pretty decent with these events. It actually did very well with the Friday event, so we can't discount this model, but it does show the cap breaking, and this would be a dangerous, probably a particularly dangerous situation here in northern Illinois. With storms right along that warm front up toward the Rockford area for sure. But if I switch it over to the NAMNIS model or the NAM 3KM, it has supercells trying to form, but they die out a little bit here into northern Illinois because the cap starts to strengthen again into the evening hours. So it's the $1,000,000 question of the day. Does the warm front get farther north toward Highway 20, and also does the cap break? Does the cap break? That is the $1,000,000 question we're wondering right now at this point going in toward tomorrow afternoon. All right, so let's see here. Anybody you'll stay in Michigan? Thanks. Well, there you go. Michigan still has the threat for severe weather on Tuesday, so you're not out of the woods there. Would Lake Michigan weaken the storms? Potentially. Okay, so the good thing about Lake Michigan is that that's an absolutely great question, and I'm glad you asked it because, again, let's go back to the temperatures here. And you see, there's Tuesday afternoon. The HRRR model has that warm front reaching the Highway 20 corridor by afternoon. South of there, we're very, very unstable. We're again 3,000 to 4,500 joules per kilogram instability. That's the CAPE values, convective available potential energy. They're off the charts, guys. So if you're south of that warm front, you're fair game for some significant weather going through late tomorrow. But if that Lake Michigan wind off that lake is even stronger than forecast, that could bust this forecast, okay? So this is a make or break situation toward tomorrow. If that wind off the lake is stronger, it will keep that warm front farther to the south. But all indications are that warm front will reach at least far northern Illinois or southern Wisconsin, and then thereafter, that warm front will actually reach central portions of Wisconsin up toward the Stevens Point, Wisconsin Dells, and Green Bay area as we go through the overnight hours into Wednesday. So everybody eventually will be in the warm sector, but it's really the afternoon round we have to be most concerned about. You're in Michigan, love a good storm. Gotcha. Well, I was thinking the Lake Michigan waters being a lot cooler would get energy up. It's possible, but again, right now it looks like there's so many ingredients in play for it that I think that's one of the limiting factors for that is the warm front is going to be just surging north. I think it'll be surging north slowly. It's not going to be the craziest, fastest moving warm front we've ever seen, but it will still be there. We'll have to watch it. Clayton says, "Will St. Louis get tornadoes or just damaging winds and hail?" Right now, with what I'm seeing, at least on the HRRR model here in the St. Louis area down here. So let's go back to the morning hours. Again, it looks like we have some storms developing maybe into northeastern Illinois. Again, some maybe large hail producing storms during midday. Still quiet. Right now, it has those storms firing just north of St. Louis by about 1 to 2 hours. This is across like the Macomb, Galesburg area, and then on up into northern Illinois. And these storms will be pushing to the northeast anyway. So I think all modes are still in play in St. Louis. Don't discount the tornado threat. It's still there, but I think the highest potential would be for damaging winds and hail. But still the secondary risk of tornadoes and overnight tornadoes. So do keep that in the back of your mind that tornadoes could be moving in overnight in St. Louis. So definitely have multiple ways to get weather watches, warnings, and all that going through that time frame. What's the weather going to be like in Chillicothe, Ohio? Ashley says. Going over to the Ohio region, we're not too terribly concerned about Ohio over here going through Tuesday. Now, Wednesday, we could have some severe weather as you see that cold front push in Wednesday morning. Some of these storms could be a little feisty across the Indianapolis, Toledo areas on up toward Detroit. Those could be producing some damaging winds and hail and maybe even some spin-up tornadoes as early as Wednesday morning. As they push through Ohio, we're going to have multiple waves of some stronger thunderstorms, probably even some severe weather in Chillicothe. So I would guess that a good bet for you of damaging winds and hail, possibly a spin-up tornado there in the Chillicothe region. That goes for the Dayton area, Cincinnati, up there toward Toledo as well. So, and even Cleveland. If you guys live into much of the state of Ohio, I would be on high alert, especially Wednesday midday into the afternoon. And we could have a bit of a flooding risk with this as well. As you can see, these storms kind of train over the same areas into portions of Ohio going into Wednesday. You see how they move more north, southwest to northeast here? That could be more of a flooding risk we might have to keep an eye on across those areas. So definitely something to be concerned about. Can you tell me about the storm system this upcoming weekend? Well, I'm not looking at the upcoming weekend right now. I'm looking at Tuesday. We're only early in the week, so I couldn't tell you about that right now. Watch my videos though. Outlook for Kankakee County, Illinois. So over here into Illinois, we're looking again a couple rounds of storms. We have some storms overnight into Kankakee there. Those could just be some small hail producing storms. Not a big deal. Going toward the midday hours tomorrow, we might have to watch a couple supercells developing by midday, early afternoon. So I'd say from about 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., we could have that window for maybe a couple of supercells producing mainly large hail. But again, we could also be seeing some spin-up tornadoes and some damaging winds as early as midday there in Kankakee. Then we'll have a break, and it all depends on where these storms go. If they develop farther south, the Kankakee area could get hit by supercells, but it looks like all indications are eastern Iowa, northeast Missouri, and portions of northwestern and western Illinois, eventually into southern Wisconsin will get hit by this here. So like the Davenport, Quad Cities region, Rockford, up toward Highway 20, the Madison area, just get ready. Definitely could be seeing some high-impact severe weather going through the late afternoon. If that cap breaks, again, that's the million-dollar question right now. Yes, Greg, I will check the Texas region here in just a few minutes. Southern Indiana, Tim says. Right now, Indiana's probably not going to get hit until it looks like overnight into the morning hours, mainly for damaging winds and hail. A couple tornadoes will be possible, but I think damaging winds and large hail will be the biggest risk in southern portions of Indiana. So like Evansville, down in the Bloomington, Indianapolis regions, and even toward the Louisville region here into Kentucky. That's going to be just damaging winds and, of course, a lot of heavy rain. You see a lot of these storms moving over the same areas. Could have a little bit of a flash flooding risk across the Ohio River Valley and including southern Indiana. Yeah, I'll do a coverage on the blizzard here toward the end. I'm just covering the severe weather because this is more, I would say, again, I know the blizzard's pretty high impact as well, but the severe weather is our utmost concern right now. But yes, I will cover the blizzard shortly. What time will the most dangerous storms be in Clinton, Iowa? I would say, and if you live in Clinton, Iowa, anywhere along the Mississippi River here, from Dubuque to Clinton to the Davenport Quad Cities, down to say Burlington, Muscatine, Keokuk, Iowa, down to like the Hannibal region, just be on high alert all day, even in the morning hours, late morning. So after you wake up, go to work or school or anything like that, just be on high alert. We could be talking about multiple waves of storms. Again, we got storms tonight. Those won't be severe severe very much. Maybe some hail-producing storms developing right over the Clinton region into northwestern Illinois by, say, midday tomorrow. Again, watch out for some quarter-size hail, maybe some 60-mile-an-hour winds or a spin-up tornado with that round. But our most concerning round by far would be the late afternoon here. Those could be the ones to produce those strong and violent long-track tornadoes. So I'd say late afternoon for sure in the Clinton area, definitely be on high alert. We could be seeing some serious storms potentially in a particularly dangerous situation unfolding near the Clinton area, potentially in the Sauk Valley area as well by late afternoon on Tuesday. And then we have that third round potentially moving into the Clinton area overnight into Wednesday morning. So we can have 3 rounds of potential severe weather events through the Clinton region going through, say, early afternoon. So between about 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. with the first round. The third round between about 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. and then the second round, and then the third round would be between say about 10 p.m. and about 6 a.m. on Wednesday. So a lot of time frames there, but just be weather aware. Again, if you guys have weather radios, turn them on overnight because I know a lot of people will be sleeping, so you definitely want to have those as well at your disposal to wake you up and have any watches and warnings wake you guys up. So especially if they're tornado warnings, you definitely want to be woken up because of that as well. Amy Johnson, thanks for the $2 donation. Thanks for the coverage. You're definitely welcome. Thanks for joining this evening. And all you guys, I haven't had this much of a following here on my live stream in quite some time. So thank you guys, all you guys, for joining me. If you have not pressed the thumbs up button down below, please do. And also consider subscribing if you're new, guys. I will have a new weather forecast video out on my YouTube channel tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. covering the updates here with this threat of severe weather. So you guys are not kept in the dark. So I will have updates, real-time updates throughout tomorrow on Twitter, and so follow me there as well, HWeather420. It's down in the description below or on the screen here. Actually, it's not on the screen right now, but it is in the description below. And again, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell, all that stuff. I definitely appreciate it. Let's see. I saw that Mora, Michigan was included in the enhanced region for Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, let's go back over to the other screen here just in 1 second. And so you can see here, yeah, we're talking about mainly portions of Michigan right now on Tuesday. You're in that marginal to slight risk for severe weather. So if you live in like Grand Rapids or the Lansing area, certainly we could be talking about some severe weather going through that time frame. Certainly. So yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. But yeah, the higher risk for severe weather is farther off to the west by far. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. But as we go through, let's go over to Wednesday here. You're in the slight risk. So you're not in the enhanced risk in Michigan. You're in the slight risk. The entire state of lower Michigan there, you're in that enhanced, or that slight risk rather, on Wednesday. And actually a hatched probability there, which means we could have some significant damaging winds, some significant hail, and possibly even some stronger tornadoes even. That's not just for Michigan, that's for portions of eastern Illinois here, and I'll circle it for you guys so you guys can see it. This is the area outlined where we could be talking about some significant severe weather going in towards the day on Wednesday. So anywhere in this outlined area, including the London, maybe Toronto area there, potentially in towards Canada, could be seeing some more significant severe weather going into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. So if the cap is able to break tomorrow, are you more concerned about tomorrow's setup versus last Friday? Absolutely, yes. Usually capped severe weather events are actually more serious, potentially, in what we call in the weather world is a boom or a bust. We have a boom or a bust day tomorrow. So it's either a boom, we get severe weather, or a bust, we don't. So it all is dependent on the cap. And again, that's the $1 million question right now. Does the cap break? We won't know until looking at observational trends tomorrow and all that stuff on how strong the cap is. There was a sounding with a weather balloon that went up earlier on, I think this morning, across the central and southern plains somewhere. And the cap was actually very strong. It was surprisingly a little bit stronger, I think, than some of the models were forecasting it. So that is already concerning. But right now, in my opinion, I'm leaning more toward the cap eroding, especially since there's a little bit of a subtle shortwave pushing through, which is just nerd talk for there's a little bit of a ripple in the energy. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Is Mononk, Woodford County in the path again? Absolutely. That'll be more overnight. So we're expecting potentially an overnight threat there in the Mononk Field Crest area down into portions of Illinois. So you guys down there are in the enhanced risk, either in the slight, you're right on the line between a slight and an enhanced risk down there into the Mononk Field Crest area. So definitely something to watch into central Illinois there. Again, these could shift around, expand a little bit in the coming days. Again, it's possible, very much so, depending on the trends overnight here with the HRRR and some of the other shorter term guidance from the Storm Prediction Center and how they interpret this. This moderate risk could shift a couple counties east, a couple counties south, or a couple counties west. Definitely a possibility. I don't think it's going to shift north because the warm front could only get so far north, especially with the cooler lake breeze. But definitely could be seeing that shift a little bit more east, west, south. We'll just have to wait and see. Or just expanding in general is definitely a possibility going into the day on Tuesday. They'll be updating it again at 1 o'clock in the morning Central Time, 8 o'clock in the morning, 11:30, and then another update at 3 o'clock. So several more updates to come. And I know that there's probably some people out there that wonder, well, is it going to go high risk? I don't think so. I think it's going to stay a moderate because the capping issues, if there wasn't a cap on the atmosphere, they would probably, pull the trigger and say, hey, there's going to be a high risk. But since there is capping concerns and some other uncertainties with this and how far north the warm front gets and whatnot, I think that's not really high confidence. So I think a moderate risk will be beneficial with this. But if they start seeing, okay, well, maybe later in the day, late in the morning, early afternoon, they say, well, hey, the cap might break, then they'll say, all right, well, it looks like it's starting to break. Maybe we go high risk. It definitely just depends on the dynamics in play tomorrow. And another thing to note as well here, I'll switch over to the other screen yet again because I want to show you something else that's very interesting to me, is that the storms, at least the HRRR at 21Z, actually have, or at 18Z, run earlier on. And I'll see the new run is just coming out now. So let's see how far along it is here. Not quite there yet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on that one. But right now, going back to the 18Z, it has storms firing up early afternoon. Now, if these storms are a lot more widespread and we have a lot of rainfall and we don't have some sunshine behind this, then it could be even, it could kind of squelch the atmosphere of energy. But if we have sunshine, as this model does show, you see how it goes from white where the cloud cover is to the black areas where we have more sunshine. That's indicating more sunshine as that warm front lifts north. And just an hour or two of sunshine would be beneficial to stabilize the atmosphere and really get things boiling here for Tuesday afternoon. So that's interesting. We do also want to cover the south as well. So we have another moderate risk farther south. So let's talk again about the Mid-South region. We've been talking about the Midwest for a while. We'll get back to your questions in a moment here. Again, through the morning hours, again, a cap is in place. So you can see as I go back to the surface-based instability and cap here, you can see you don't see many of those colors. We have a cap in place through much of the daytime hours on Tuesday. It breaks a little bit at times, but it really truly doesn't break until that cold front comes through overnight into Wednesday morning. So another threat for overnight tornadoes, damaging winds and hail across the southern plains and in toward the Arklatex, Mid-South region. So from Little Rock over here toward Tulsa, northeastern portions of Texas, say western Tennessee, southern Missouri here. So that is a concern. And if I switch over to the supercell composite values, they're up there. They're up there. Not as strong as to the north initially, but they will be stronger as we get into the overnight hours and Wednesday morning. You see how as that cold front comes in, boom, you get those brighter colors. Yeah, those are indicating potentially some supercells going through that Wednesday morning commute time frame, and possibly midday on Wednesday across Arkansas, southern Missouri here, southern Illinois, western Tennessee, northern and northwestern Mississippi, Eastern Oklahoma, Northeast Texas, Northern Louisiana, just a few spots to name about that. We could be talking about potentially some significant supercells, and also the significant tornado parameter values are growing as well. You see those values start in the afternoon, and those values dramatically increase with that cold front, especially there in the southwestern portions of, say, Missouri into northwest Arkansas. So from like the Springfield area down in towards, say, Fayetteville, Rogers, Fort Smith, down toward portions of maybe just east of Shawnee, Oklahoma. Those are the areas I'm most concerned about for a significant tornado outbreak going through the overnight hours there. So that will be something to watch during that time frame. And as we kind of go back to the simulated reflectivity, again, don't etch this in stone either, because this will change many times through tomorrow. But it looks like we break that cap a little bit ahead of that. We could have some supercells. They may struggle to develop, but they could develop late afternoon, early evening from St. Louis all the way down here toward portions of like Cape Girardeau and southeastern Missouri, getting down through, unfortunately, again, the Little Rock, Jonesboro area, Pine Bluff, down here in toward the Texarkana region as we get through the early evening hours. Those could be the ones to pose a risk for significant tornadoes, damaging winds, some large hail here. Again, we have a very deep instability reservoir down here for energy, so definitely going to be seeing a lot of large hail producing storms nonetheless with this setup. Then going into the overnight hours, this is again after dark. This is why you want to have your weather radios on and have multiple ways to get warnings, because you have that squall line pushing east and organizing. And this again could be erupting fairly significantly near the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Tyler, Texas, through Little Rock, Jonesboro, St. Louis, Carbondale, Illinois. All these areas could be impacted, and a little bit of a flooding risk is possible with this. So that kind of adds fuel to the fire down here. Not only could we be seeing some severe weather, but we could be talking about a flooding risk across portions of these areas. So that's what we're seeing. Bill says, hey, weather on the go. What type of tornado risk for southeastern Michigan for Wednesday would you say? Right now, I think just looking, let's go back here real quick for southeastern Michigan. Here's southeastern Michigan up here toward the top end of your screen. You said for Wednesday. Right now, it looks like more of a low-end chance for tornadoes. It's still there, potentially a strong tornado. I'll have to see what the Storm Prediction Center does and if they hatch that area for tornadoes or not. But it definitely looks like the threat is there, but I think more damaging winds and large hail is probably going to be your main hazard from the storms. Looking at this here, going in towards Wednesday. And it probably looks like it'll be coming through Wednesday morning in towards the afternoon. So it's an earlier day event for the most part if you live into southeastern Michigan. So like Detroit, Lansing, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, probably an earlier day event here across those areas. Yep, tornado outbreak on Tuesday. Potentially. Could Columbus, Ohio be a bust? No. The cold front's going to erode that cap, whatever cap is in place. You're going to see thunderstorms, and they probably will be severe across portions of the Ohio Valley. Not everybody will see severe weather in the Ohio Valley, but if you get under one of those severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, certainly we could be talking about some tornadoes, possibly even some strong ones on Wednesday. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely something to be concerned about. Can raining the day before prevent severe weather? No, absolutely not. No, it will not. Unless you get into like the summer months and you have those convective wind events where you have, storms that happen, the night before, and it kind of takes some time for the atmosphere to recover. But we don't see that across the Ohio Valley or the Midwest really too much on Tuesday or Wednesday. There's a little bit of question of that in northern Illinois, but other than that, there's not really that many questions about the atmosphere being too much overturned and negatively impacting severe weather right now. Hello, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining, Nava. How about Kansas City? So Kansas City back here, the left middle part of your screen here, you can see kind of circling it there. Right now it looks like more of a damaging wind and hail threat, and it looks like actually the storms might form just along and east of Kansas City. So it might miss you guys, honestly. Definitely a possibility. But again, there's other models like the NAM model that have it forming right over Kansas City. So it looks like the initiation point is very close to Kansas City. So hard to tell. Again, observational trends will be key tomorrow to deciding where those storms will ultimately fire up. But again, I think the initiation point will be right over the Kansas City area or just a county or two to your east. That's what it looks like. How about Pittsburgh? Going over here to Pittsburgh, we're not talking about too much of craziness going on in Pittsburgh. I think as the severe weather moves in, it's going to be on a weakening trend, but still certainly could be talking about some severe weather with some damaging strong winds and some hail and maybe even a spin up tornado, but not that big of a deal. By far, Tuesday's the bigger day. There could be an upgrade to an enhanced risk across the Ohio Valley on Wednesday. We'll have to wait and see what happens there with the Storm Prediction Center and what they think. You hope it goes east of Kansas City. It's possible. It looks like the initiation point is right over the Kansas City area or just to the east by a couple of counties. What about Fort Wayne, Indiana? Fort Wayne, Indiana, you're kind of in a unique place. You're kind of in between events, really. You got the threat. You're very close to the threat on Tuesday, not too far off to your west. But I think on Wednesday morning you could be seeing some stronger storms with that squall line pushing through toward the Wednesday morning commute, going through about late morning, early afternoon in the Fort Wayne area. Damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes will be possible, and some of those could be strong. Strong damaging wind producers with winds over 70 miles an hour, maybe some 2-inch hail there. That's a possibility. Hi, how you doing? What's it looking like in Indianapolis? Indianapolis, again, you were kind of in that flooding risk, but I think early Wednesday morning, overnight and early Wednesday morning, got that squall line of storms pushing through, at least a broken line. Could be producing some damaging winds and some hail. I think the strongest weather will be just over your area and maybe just to your east on Wednesday. So that's what it's looking like. All right, so yeah, absolutely, guys. Don't spam the chat. I'm getting to as many questions as I can. Again, if I skip over your questions, I apologize. I'm trying to get to as many people as possible. Again, thank you all so much for joining me. Again, I am open to answering as many questions as I possibly can here for the next little bit, and then I'll have to get off and get ready to make my video for you guys in the morning. But again, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It's free to do, and you guys get more access to my YouTube page by subscribing. You guys can get all my videos that you know watch and stuff like that. If you like detailed weather breakdowns, I tell you what, this is the place to be. Okay, so if you like nerdy stuff, nerdy weather breakdowns and stuff like that, this is the place to be. And I'll try to make you understand the weather forecast as much as possible while you're on my channel. All right, so I'll put it in layman's terms for you guys because I know a lot of you guys don't know these weather terms very much, like instability. What is that? I'll try to give you guys the information of what you guys need to know and be helpful with that and not be so scientific-y. But if for all the other scientific-y people out there that are nerdy like me, this is the place to be for sure. So hit the subscribe button. If you have not yet, press the thumbs up down below. I know all you guys have not yet pressed the thumbs up. We got almost 400 people watching. We only have 207 likes. Press that thumbs up button, everybody. Much appreciated. All right, let me see. I'm going back up here to see if I missed any questions. How fast are these storms moving compared to Fridays? A lot slower than Fridays. They're certainly not going to be moving at 80 miles an hour, but they will still be moving fairly quickly, especially overnight. So the squall line, the storms initially, these supercells, like if they do develop here in eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, and stuff like that earlier on in the day, say late afternoon, early evening, probably about 30, 40 mile per hour movement on the storms. But as we go toward like the evening hours, as that cold front overtakes the dry line, it's going to be quick. It's going to be booking its way eastward. We're talking 50, 60 miles per hour to the east. So fast moving squall line is still possible. But I think once it gets into the Ohio Valley, it's going to kind of stall out. That cold front's going to kind of stall out or move a lot slower. So we'll have a lot slower movement to the east, but the storms will still be moving pretty quickly from southwest to northeast, right along and kind of parallel to that boundary, that cold front. Yeah, weather's definitely been crazy lately, all saying. Actually, I agree with you. Yes. It does look like we're going to be quieting down, though, as we go into the second, third week, potentially, toward the middle of April. A lot of breathing a sigh of relief. We get after this tornado and severe weather outbreak on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think we're done for the most part with these high-impact severe weather events. Now, with that said, there still could be some lower-end, marginal, slight-risk days into the middle of April, but these big, moderate, high-risk days of severe weather and even a a lot of these enhanced risk days, we'll probably go and go take a vacation for a little while. I think we're gonna quiet things down. And let me kind of break that down for you a little bit. Let's kind of break down why we're seeing that. So let's go to the North America view. And you see this is the European model here. As we go in towards let's go back to the 12Z run here. As we go towards, say, the middle of the month, you see we don't have these big troughs moving in toward the Pacific Northwest and then diving southeast. You see these storms and troughs up here just south of the Aleutian Islands, but they aren't moving into the United States much. They're actually crashing in more in towards portions of Canada. So these are going to be moving more east-northeast than toward the southeast here. So that's good news if you don't want any more severe weather toward the middle of the month. We might have to watch a storm in toward this weekend. Those could pose a risk for some heavy rain. I'm not currently expected to see any severe weather with that in the Midwest. If somebody was referring to this upcoming weekend earlier, no, I'm not expecting any severe weather during this time frame. Just not enough energy there. And if I go to the mid-level jet, it's just not there for it. Just a very weak trough. We got a stronger trough out here, another long wave trough into the northeast Pacific. But again, that will be pushing into Canada. Not really too much to worry about there. I think maybe toward the middle of the month that might try to get toward the west coast, but it'll be struggling to get there. And again, this model will change 1,000 times before we get there, so we'll just have to wait and see. All right. You're welcome, John. You're welcome. Take a peek at the 0Z HRRR. It's a bit over half in now. All right. So, yeah, let's look at that again. I just wanted to take time to look at some of the other details here. And then we'll look at the snowstorm here in a minute as well, because I know somebody brought that up. Yeah, we got a blizzard on the way, a rare April blizzard across the northern plains and the upper Midwest that we have to look at. Very interesting setup there. Very interesting. So let's go back to the HRRR model here. The 0Z run is out, and it's about halfway, yeah, about 60% done. All right, so let's go to the temperatures, and let's see how far north first the warm front goes on Tuesday. Oh, wow. So, yeah, it has that warm front still up there towards Highway 20 and I-80 corridor, I-88, somewhere in there in northern Illinois. And look at that. Wow, we could be 87, 88. The HRRR model is going crazy with those temperatures in southeastern Iowa. If that comes to fruition, guys, that is insane. Upper 80s into southeastern Iowa. Wow. Let's see what the dew points are. The dew points are still pooling up there near 70, maybe not as high as they were on the last run, but still upper 60 dew points right along that warm front there. 69, 70 degree dew point, definitely possible. Let's look at the energy. We're not seeing as much energy as we did earlier. And that's the thing. That's what I was saying. These models could change a little bit. We're not seeing 4,000 joules per kilogram, but we're still seeing 3,000, perhaps 3,800 joules per kilogram there in eastern Iowa, northern Illinois. So still more than enough for severe weather. The supercell composite value is still very high. The significant tornado parameter is still very high. Let's go over here to the simulated reflectivity. So we got the storms tonight. Let's see. Let me just look at this here real quick. Why does it zoom it in like that? It's kind of weird. All right, so we got an interesting setup here. With the latest HRRR model. So just looking at this here, it has the storms firing up there in northeast Iowa, the first event. It has a little bit of an elevated supercell risk there north of the warm front during midday on Tuesday. With maybe some large hail right along the Illinois-Wisconsin state line down to about Highway 20 or Highway 30. Okay, and then those storms push northeast. How does that affect the Cape? Let's see. Okay, so it has a little bit of a negative effect on the Cape. So that's what we're seeing now a little bit. All right, so now I got the full picture here. It looks like to me there's the HRRR, the latest run that just came out, like it's literally coming out right now, is showing the storms starting to develop by midday. These will be more elevated large hail producers with maybe a damaging wind gust or two or maybe a spin-up tornado. It squelches a lot of the energy out in the atmosphere. It goes down to 800 joules per kilogram over northern Illinois. But then the model has the sunshine coming out like it was showing earlier, And that will be important. Does the sunshine come out like this model shows before the second round comes in? And that the question or the answer to that on this model at least is yes. So we still have that for us go for severe weather. And then boom, we have some big supercells developing still. And each one of these could be producing tornadoes and violent ones still with what I'm seeing. So yes, it looks like a dangerous setup still here. Absolutely. Something that we have to be concerned about. Wow. All right. Yeah, we still got five, sixes, sevens, eights, nine. We have tens still. We're still maxed out there with the significant tornado parameter. And and the supercell composite is, I mean, that's pretty strong too. So, again, you're looking at this the same time that I am, so I'm kind of dissecting this while we're live here. Um, Yeah, look at that, guys. Yeah, you're seeing at least the simulated echo tops about 40,000 feet tall. So yeah, that's easily producing some probably golf ball size hail during the early afternoon tomorrow. If this does pan out here across the Illinois-Wisconsin state line, so definitely watch out for that first round there. And then, wow, even taller storms. We could be up near. Let's see, what's this one showing? About 50,000 foot tops there or so by wow. So yeah, we could be seeing still some baseball size hail, some big tornadoes, some powerful ones tomorrow, guys, with this setup. Let's see what the vertical velocity is here. Yeah, there's still a chance for some long track supercells. And it really comes down to how much sunshine we see. If we see just an hour of sunshine, look at that. There's the anvil of some of the clouds. The model is actually predicting the anvil to be exploding. The anvil is the top of a cumulonimbus cloud, but it fans out. The storm that can't rise anymore, it kind of fans out. That's what you're seeing here on the model. Crazy. Crazy. Thanks for being live to cover this. I'm hitting that like button on the stream. Thanks so much, Blondie. Appreciate it. What do you think are the chances of the storm changing later this week? Well, this is on Tuesday. This is tomorrow, so this is early week. Or if you're talking about Wednesday, it still could change a little bit. I think that if you're farther to the east on Wednesday, I would just say maybe a chance of an upgrade to an enhanced risk. But what I'm seeing over here is that we're going to have more damaging winds and hail, but it's not fully loaded yet. There could be some storms. It actually moves those storms into the Indianapolis region overnight. So we got that squall line pushing through, and that could also pose the risk for some strong, damaging winds over 60 miles an hour, some large hail, of course, the whole 9 yards, heavy rain, cloud to ground lightning, and even some spin up tornadoes. So again, still looking at multiple rounds of severe weather. That's definitely still on the table there for your Tuesday and Wednesday potentially, but especially on Tuesday. Definitely. Let's see here. Winds are screaming in Phoenix relative to Phoenix weather. Yeah, this storm's really has a lot of wind energy. If I go back to the European model and kind of zoom it out here for the contiguous United States. Look at the mid-level jet here, and that's why you're seeing that down in the Phoenix area. Here's this evening. That mid-level jet is right over Phoenix there, pretty much in central and southern Arizona, and that's the strong winds rounding the base of that trough, and that's going to contribute to a very strong and volatile wind shear environment across the Midwest and the Mid-South tomorrow. So that's why you're seeing all the strong winds. It's all that mid-level and low-level energy pushing into the Phoenix area. All right, so now let's look at the snowstorm side of this briefly. Again, this is going to be producing some blizzard conditions. There are already blizzard warnings up here in the Dakotas. We have some winter storm warnings and watches and stuff like that. This storm is going to likely be producing a lot of snowfall up here. Let's see if I can get a better, let's see. There we go. So we got some snowfall starting out here, going through this evening. It's snowing pretty hard. We got probably some 1 to 2 inch per hour snowfall rates here in eastern Wyoming toward the Casper area, maybe down into Cheyenne, Wyoming there potentially with that, maybe just northwest of Cheyenne, Wyoming. And then that really starts to deepen. We have a mix of rain and snow, some sleet up here into southern and southeastern South Dakota with some of that warmer air getting fetched up and over that low pressure system. We'll have to watch out for that as well into northern Nebraska. And then we got that snowfall really breaking out across the Dakotas there, going through midday on Tuesday. That continues through Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and we'll be adding up some snowfall here. We could be adding up a good 1 to 2 feet of snow. We could be seeing easily many areas seeing 12 inches or more of snow up here into the central Dakotas. So from Fargo, Bismarck down to the Rapid City area, the HRRR model has you guys near Rapid City getting around 18 to 24 inches of snow. We got 2 feet of snow in some of the higher elevations of eastern Wyoming and far western South Dakota. So definitely a crazy setup here for snowfall in the Pacific or in the northern plains. Definitely crazy setup. Let's see what the HRRR model is showing for the deep south here. I'm kind of curious now. All right, so let's look at Tuesday. It still has that cap in place. Yeah, it still has that cap in place. It does erode it a little bit quicker than the other model did, but it's still overnight. So let's see. Let's go back to the simulated reflectivity. This is about midday on Tuesday. Really not much going on across Arkansas or anything like that, according to the HRRR model. And then by the time we get into, say, like Tuesday afternoon, boom, we got some scattered supercells. Each one of these could be producing some significant tornadoes. Okay, so large hail, significant tornadoes, that is possible for sure across these areas, say like Arkansas, southern Missouri, and stuff like that. Definitely concerning going into this time frame for sure. So this is this is about mid-afternoon to early evening time frame. So watch out for those supercells that could be easily developing here across the mid-south for sure. Guys in the stream, if you guys are not yet, press that thumbs up button. Press it down below in the live stream. So again, press that like button, thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Again, I'll have a new video out for you guys at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. I do a YouTube video just pretty much every single day. So what do I think about Fort Wayne, Indiana? Again, it's going to be early on Saturday or early Wednesday. I just have so much going on right now. I'm looking at so many different things with the weather data and stuff, and I'm already jumbling my words. So, yes, early on Wednesday morning for the Fort Wayne area. And it's mainly damaging winds, hail, maybe a couple tornadoes. But the stronger threat will be west of you into like Illinois and Iowa. But across the deep south here, we got that supercells that develop here ahead of the main line. These are the ones that could be posing the risk for some significant tornadoes. So from St. Louis toward like the Effingham, Carbondale, Illinois area, down toward Jonesboro, Arkansas, Little Rock, North Little Rock again, unfortunately, down into the Pine Bluff area, we could be talking about more intense weather there and toward the early evening hours. Again, this will probably be after dark, so very well we could have strong, long track and violent tornadoes on the ground after dark here. Very dangerous situation, possibly into the Little Rock area or those surrounding areas potentially going in towards the evening on Tuesday. And then that squall line comes in, the cold front overtakes that, and boom, we got some big wind producing storms, some hail, more tornadoes there, and that'll be more widespread from St. Louis down through Little Rock, Jonesboro, the Pine Bluff area, Texarkana. I think just east of Dallas-Fort Worth toward like Tyler, Texas, College Station. Those areas could be getting hit hard by some damaging winds and hail going in towards that Wednesday morning commute there. So that's about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning of what you're looking at on the screen right now. All right. I feel like something could happen like last storm. They underestimated what could. Well, they're not underestimating it. There is a moderate risk, so that is a pretty serious risk. The storms will be on a weakening trend because if you think about it, they're coming through Fort Wayne, Indiana up here at an unfavorable time of day. You're talking about like after midnight, early Wednesday morning. Now, with that said, there's a lot of wind shear in the environment and even some instability. So we're talking about the potential for severe weather, but I think not everybody in Indiana or Illinois will see it. Some areas will get hit harder than others. Unfortunately, that will happen, and other areas might not see any severe weather. Everybody in the moderate, enhanced, slight, marginal. I don't care what area you're in. Not everybody's gonna get hit by severe weather. Not every square mile of this severe risk is gonna get hit. Just some areas that are more lucky than others may not get hit, and other areas that aren't as lucky may get hit. So it just depends on the setup tomorrow and how that pans out. Definitely something we'll have to watch. Hi, forecaster Mia. Thanks for joining. Quad Cities is being missed? No. Quad Cities, you are right in the middle of that moderate risk. You are in the level 4 or 5. There's the storms, those supercells. Let me go back to the 0Z run here. Supercells developing during the afternoon hours. You have to watch out for some violent tornadoes there. So yeah, if you live in Davenport, Clinton, Iowa, Muscatine, DeWitt again, the Moline area, yeah, you guys are in play for maybe some strong tornadoes. Hail that could be up to 3 inches in diameter possible, up to baseball size or even tennis ball size, and maybe some microbursts. We could be seeing some 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts in some of these these downdrafts from the storms. Good Russia wind, that's a good possibility. Witchy Woman, thanks for joining from Sterling, Illinois, the Sauk Valley area. I'm very close to there, actually. I'm probably about 20 minutes from Sterling. But thank you so much for joining. Yeah, it looks like the Sterling area, right in the Sauk Valley area, from Sterling over there to Dixon, Polo, Illinois, that's smaller towns up there, Freeport to Rockford. Yeah, you guys are all in the threat there. So the entire Sauk Valley region be on high alert tomorrow afternoon. Could have some violent, up to EF5 type tornadoes potentially. Not to scare you, but yeah, the potential is there. The ceiling is very high for the severe weather potential farther to the north in the afternoon. If that cap breaks, that is going to be a bad time, unfortunately, for somebody up here in the Sauk Valley region or northern Illinois or eastern Iowa. Somebody's going to get hit by some damaging hail, some tornadoes, or damaging winds if that cap breaks tomorrow afternoon. You do not want to see sunshine tomorrow. That is going to add, again, more fuel to the fire. Definitely something to watch. So if you are in the Sauk Valley area tomorrow, if you see any sunshine, you might have, again, let me go back through this. If you have storms in the morning, could have some drizzle, some cloud cover. With that warm front lifting north, that's going to be right over your area. And that's a very similar setup to the Fairdale, Illinois tornado. That was an EF4 back in April 9th, 2015, where that storm was right on the warm front. That could be a similar situation there as we go into, say, late afternoon on Tuesday in the Sauk Valley area. Howdy, neighbor. Thanks for the update. You're welcome. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Anything to worry about in Nashville? Right now in Nashville, it's probably going to be early on Wednesday morning. You got the supercells to your west. There could be a round of storms in Nashville there, getting in towards, say, Wednesday morning. If I go over to the NAM model here, it's showing some storms pushing through, but the main squall line doesn't come through Nashville, probably not really until Thursday. It looks like Wednesday we could have some severe weather just to your west or near your area, but then I think Thursday we have more storms. Some of those could be strong, but mostly a flooding risk for the Nashville area. That's definitely what it's looking like. Yeah, Navajo. No, it's the environment is ripe for an EF5 tomorrow, but will there be an EF5? It's pretty low chance of that, I'll say, but there is a chance of that. Again, EF2 to EF5 tornadoes in that moderate risk zone where you have a 15% hatched risk for tornadoes. So you have EF2 to EF5s are more likely there. Thank you so much, Ashley Leith. Appreciate you again modding the chat. Definitely much appreciated. How will Kansas City be? Again, I've answered this several times. Kansas City, you guys are going to be in the firing zone for severe weather. It looks like you're going to be right along the cold front there. So, again, storms will fire up probably late afternoon, early evening out to the west over Kansas City, or maybe just east of Kansas City. That is what is going to potentially play out. So watch out for some damaging winds and hail and stuff like that there. How does a cap break? Well, the cap has to be eroded by some cooler air aloft. But what you have to have, ways for a cap to break, you have to have forcing. So you have to have lift. So you have to have a boundary in place, a convergence front there. You have to have a warm front, a cold front, some type of frontal boundary in the area. We have a warm front, so that's possible. But if you're in the open warm sector, that cap's probably going to hold strong unless you're near that warm front. But we do have a subtle shortwave coming in. So what I mean by that, there's a little ripple here near the surface that could kind of ignite that cap a little bit. And if that happens, then that cap will break. So basically what I'm saying is you have to have a front, some type of frontal boundary or like a shortwave pushing through. Which is, again, tomorrow it's very subtle. It's a very subtle shortwave, so it's not a guarantee. Dayton, Ohio, Justin Snodgrass. The Dayton area looks like Wednesday morning into the afternoon. You guys could have some significant severe weather. It looks That's what it looks like right now. Let's go over to the wrap model here. It looks like going into Wednesday morning, you could have some stronger storms, and then that squall line pushes through. Could have some pretty intense storms there, peak daytime heating there Wednesday afternoon. And you can see there's a lot of instability in place here, around 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram in some spots. So there could be some pretty, strong storms, a couple of tornadoes in the Dayton area. You're in that slight risk, I believe. So watch out for that on Wednesday. You're welcome, Kevin. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated. What is a dry line? A dry line is a frontal boundary that is making the difference between dry air behind the dry line. So dew points are here. I'll show you an example. So there is actually a dry line tomorrow. So let me go back. Let's look at the surface dew points here. So this is what a dry line is. So let me go back. And actually, that's not a good view of it here. So you see where the dew points are across the Midwest here. You see where the dew points near, like, say, Kansas City, for example. You see across northern Missouri dew points here, or you see these teal and blue shaded colors or green. This is in like the mid 60s for dew points. Behind the dry line here, you can clearly see where it really goes down and dew points are into the 20s there. That's the dry line, and it actually pushes east as a cold front going through Wednesday, and it brings all that dry air in. You could also have lift along a dry line as well. You're welcome, Justin. So drier air, that's what a dry line is. Drier air behind it, you got moist air usually in front of it. And again, that's the mechanism in which we could see storms fired up near Kansas City on Tuesday afternoon and evening. You have lift with the dry line. So that's why we're not concerned about a cap over there, a capping inversion in Kansas City or Des Moines, because the dry line and the cold front are going to be pushing east. And that's the source for forcing or lift that you need for storms to develop. All right, so the yellow part looks like a lopsided heart. I have not looked at that yet, but definitely it could be possible. I know you were covering the severe weather, and you're not a doctor, but why do these storms cause headaches? I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Or woman, whoever. I don't know. Honestly, I've had the headache the last few, like kind of on and off the last few days. I think it's just the pressure changes. I think that's why. Because we have a lot of strong surface low pressure and stuff like that. I think it's been because I never get headaches, and I've been getting headaches the last few days on and off. I think it's just the change in the air masses where you go from warm and humid like tomorrow in the Midwest to dry and cooler again in the 40s and 50s the next day. So it's the joy of living in the Midwest. Well, all right, guys, if you guys don't have any more questions for me, that's kind of just the gist of it tomorrow. Just watch out. Multiple waves of severe weather. Again, the squall line is going to be the big issue going through the night time frame. Just watch out for overnight tornadoes. Those could be ones that could be strong. So we'll watch out for that going through the day tomorrow, especially that afternoon roundup here. If you live anywhere in southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, including Rockford, Chicago, the Sauk Valley region in particular with that warm front, or down here toward the Quad Cities in Davenport, Iowa, Kirksville, Missouri, western Illinois toward Galesburg, Macomb, Peoria, all those areas, just be on the lookout for some significant severe weather on your Tuesday afternoon and evening. All right. So just be on the lookout and just know what to do. If a tornado warning or even a severe thunderstorm warning is issued, heed the warnings, guys. And move indoors into the lowest, most interior room if you don't have a basement. But if you do, go to a basement here or a storm shelter tomorrow because there could be some violent tornadoes in play across some of those areas I just mentioned. So St. Louis, again, looks like a squall line pushing through later on in the overnight hours. Here, I'll show you once again in the St. Louis area. I know I've had several questions about that. Again, it looks like the late afternoon, starting in St. Louis potentially, but more so to the evening hours, we'll have the squall line push through into Wednesday morning. So some damaging winds into Wednesday morning. That's possible in St. Louis. All right. My kid has been worried about the weather the last few days, so we went over our tornado plan, got our storm shelter set up, and we were ready. Absolutely, that's a great idea, Kevin. Yeah, definitely want to have a way to stay safe in case you have a tornado warning. Definitely, you want to make those preparations before the storm. Sometimes a day or two before is definitely better than the day of. So that's a good thing. Absolutely. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee, you're kind of, again, same thing. Squall line looks like Wednesday morning. So maybe a couple supercells. We might have to watch out for some supercells down here in the Memphis area. Those could be the ones to produce some strong tornadoes here if that cap breaks. And then we have that squall line pushing through and a lot of flooding potentially down here into the Tennessee and Ohio River Valley going in towards, say, the Wednesday time frame and even into Thursday. That cold front kind of stalls out and really doesn't push from west to east until really Thursday night into Friday. So there could be kind of a slow moving cold front, and that'll be the focal point for more lift. Again, that forcing and lift we've been talking about for thunderstorm activity, that's what we'll have again on Thursday. And then finally, that front will cross through the eastern side of the country off the Atlantic, and we'll see more high pressure working in as we head toward this weekend. A beautiful Easter weekend for a lot of people out there. So thankfully, this system will be moving out before Easter weekend, so we can enjoy a lot of sunshine and a lot of warmer temperatures for Easter this upcoming Sunday. Again, I've said it several times, man. If you're just joining, I apologize, but yeah, Kenneth, Kansas City, you're going to be in that initiation zone for severe weather as we go into the afternoon and evening tomorrow. Again, I'll show you one more time here. Again, Kansas City, it's really right in the late afternoon and evening. We got that squall line pushing through. Again, the development area right over Kansas City and St. Joseph up here, and then just east. Okay, so toward the Jefferson City, Jefferson City, Springfield area. That's basically what we're seeing here. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Press that like button, guys. Let's get up to 300 likes at least on this live stream. Definitely appreciate it. And again, thank you, Ashley Leith. Yeah, press that like button, the thumbs up button, guys. Let's see, before I leave, let's get up to 300 likes on the live stream. I definitely appreciate it. And also, all you guys, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. I will have a new video out for you guys at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning, Central Daylight Time, 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So subscribe to the channel. We're already quickly approaching 30,000 subscribers. We're up to 28,213 thanks to you guys. And as this as this YouTube channel and page continues to grow, I'll be expanding my horizons into Canada and Europe as well with some of the weather as this page continues to grow. All right, so there is the promise. Yeah, you're welcome, Navajo. Thanks for joining. You're welcome. You're welcome, Mason. Tim Key, thank you. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Weather on the Go. Appreciate it. Watch out there, up there into the Millville and Prairie du Chien and southwest Wisconsin, Boscobel area. Watch out for that. Could be some big hailers tomorrow afternoon and evening, maybe up to golf ball size. Definitely possible. Your headaches could be caused from... No. That is not happening. There's no aerosols injected into the skies. We're not having that on my channel. Nobody's manufacturing the weather. No, we're no and no. Okay, so thank you so much. I appreciate it, unoffendable, but no, nobody is manipulating our weather. That's not happening, all right? Just want to tell you that. Alrighty, well, I appreciate it. Glad for the info. Everyone stay safe. Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin, and a great job with the plan as well. Definitely want to have a tornado plan in place. I'm glad you have a plan for tomorrow in case the storms get a little feisty out there with tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail. Definitely a good way to stay safe. Okay, so again, thanks everybody. Let's see if we can get to 400 likes now. See, we're already well over 300. Definitely appreciate it. Again, morning round of storms as we go into tomorrow, those could produce some large hail. Early afternoon could produce some large hail. Watch out for the supercells late afternoon tomorrow. Those ones could be feisty up there in eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. Just watch out for that as we go through the afternoon. And then the squall line will push east. And again, this will be for much of the United States. That whole entire storm system will push east here very slowly. Big squall line there from the eastern Great Lakes down through the Ohio Valley. So from Michigan, especially lower Michigan, the Toronto area there into Canada, getting down through Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Just watch out for some heavy rain and severe weather occasionally going through the end of the week. And then by the time we get into this weekend, a beautiful Easter weekend is on tap. So definitely enjoy the rest of your week as we go through the rest of the week here. So What about Springfield, Missouri area? Caitlin says Springfield, Missouri. You're going to just see some supercells going through tomorrow. It looks like about. I'd watch out between the late afternoon. There could be some storms developing. Let's go back to the HRRR here. I would say Springfield, I would watch out during the afternoon. Could have some supercell thunderstorms trying to develop. It depends on if that cap breaks. It's the warm layer aloft in the atmosphere, so that's definitely possible. But then as we go through the evening hours, we'll have a squall line move through Springfield. That could bring a more widespread mode of severe weather with damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, some quarter to golf ball size hail, and maybe a few spin up tornadoes. This will be well after dark. This will be after midnight. So definitely want to have a weather radio or just have a way to get warnings. So if you have a smartphone, tablet, laptop, anything, local TV station, a weather radio, for example, again, you want to have those notifications on in case you get a tornado warning overnight. Drew says Cape Girardeau, please. You guys are going to see possibly some supercell thunderstorms down here into Cape Girardeau going through the Tuesday afternoon time frame. Possibly those ones could turn very severe, and then that squall line will push through as we head through, the morning hours on Wednesday. So damaging winds, large hail, and a couple tornadoes for that area as well. I'm not sure what city is that in? Where's Apaneus County in Iowa at? Is that eastern Iowa or what? I have no idea. Give me a city that in Iowa that's in, and I could tell you. I'm in Kansas City trying to get some great shots of the clouds building, then some shots of tornadoes. Should they unfortunately, hopefully, if we see tornadoes, they're in the open fields. We don't have anything affected by it. No barns, no homes, anything. Hopefully, if we see any tornadoes tomorrow, they don't affect anybody. That is the best way possible. So. Springfield, Illinois, looks like again, supercell thunderstorms with all modes of severe weather will be possible from tomorrow afternoon. Looks like the strongest supercells maybe just north of you, so north central Illinois, maybe as far south as the Peoria I-74, I-80 corridor, and then as it gets down toward the Springfield region, probably more so of the squall line pushing through early morning hours. So as you're going off to work or school down there into Springfield, the Effingham, Charleston, Champaign, Urbana, Bloomington, Normal, Decatur areas down in that area there, the south central Illinois, just be ready for some damaging winds, large hail, and a few tornadoes. Yes, early on in the morning even for your Wednesday morning commute. So watch out for that. And again, these tornadoes, if they do develop, will be rain wraps. So don't go out and try and find these tornadoes, especially if they're at nighttime or, again, even if they're, wrapped in rain along that line of storms Wednesday morning. They will be wrapped in rain most likely, so you will not be able to see them. So don't go out and try to look for these tornadoes if you have a tornado warning. Go to the shelter, go to a basement. Again, I can't stress this enough. We've lost too many lives this year, guys, from tornadoes in the United States. We want to keep that at zero. So let's keep that at zero going through tomorrow as much as we can throughout the rest of this year. Okay? Just do the right thing. Go to a basement, storm shelter, and just stay safe from the storms. Let them pass through, and they'll pass through, all right? You're welcome, Caitlin. All right. All right, well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, the thumbs up button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell so you get my weather forecast video tomorrow. Again, that will be out at 9 o'clock in the morning, Central Daylight Time. Again, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, Central Daylight Time. Another weather forecast video. You can go watch my weather forecast video from this morning. Maybe a little bit has changed, but still, it gives you an idea how detailed my weather forecasts are. And again, that is what I'll be doing tomorrow. So 9 a.m. tomorrow, my new video will be out. Again, follow me on Twitter at hweather420, and I'll put the screen back on there for you guys so you can follow me on Twitter tomorrow at hweather420, or even tonight if you rather. And I'll be posting real-time updates going through the day tomorrow on any watches, warnings, and stuff like that decide to pop up through the height of the afternoon. All right, guys? So there you go. It should be on the screen here in just a second or two, if it's not already. You can follow me at hweather420. It is in the description down below. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Ashley Leith, for modding. Thank you so much and appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great night out there. Hit the like button on the way out and subscribe. Thank you guys. Have a great and safe rest of your Monday and Tuesday out there. And again, stay safe from the weather, make good decisions, and go to the lowest, most interior room, basement, storm shelter. Stay away from windows and just move indoors for severe weather or thunderstorms tomorrow. Stay safe. Good night, everybody. Stay safe out there.